Hey guys, today we've got Sherif Goubran. He's the founder of Craftzero and Wine & Co. Sherif, welcome to Product Hub.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So, Sherif, why don't you give the listeners just a brief overview of Craftzero, and then we can get into it.
Yeah, of course. Craftzero is a platform for non-alcoholic beers, wines, and spirits. We specialize in more of the craftier beers, small batch breweries, and small distilleries around Australia and overseas. We're probably one of the biggest online platforms at the moment that offer the biggest range in Australia of non-alcoholic drinks, and all available at Craftzero.
Awesome. So I had a little look at kind of what you've been doing for the last, I guess, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, and it looks like there's a fair bit on. Yep. Looks like it's pretty busy. So I always like to find out kind of how you got here. So what type of early roles did you have that kind of molded you into what you're doing today and kind of drove you to go into business?
Yeah, sure. So we initially came from a liquor background. We had Wine & Co was a distributor of on-premise wine. So we supplied bars and restaurants with on-premise wines. And towards as COVID came, we kind of got a little bit affected with the restaurants. Restaurants got affected, and it was more of a effect on us as wholesalers. We looked at avenues such as other opportunities such as the non-alcoholic market, and we ended up importing a few different samples of different products. There wasn't much variety at the time. So when we first started, there was actually we realized there was actually quite an interesting selection, and the quality of the products were very, very good compared to what it used to be. So we delved a little bit deeper, and we decided to launch Craftzero because we really liked the products. We really liked what they stand for. Mike and I, my business partner, we are into more of a healthier lifestyle. We thought, why don't we look into that sort of product and see if we can bring him into Australia and that's what we did. So we started off with a small selection on Craftzero, and then over the years it literally exploded. Almost every week we get a new product on the market in Australia. Someone coming up with a new beer or a new wine or a new spirit, and it just kept growing and growing since. That's where we just kept investing more and more into the business, and this is where we are now.
Yeah, cool, awesome. How long have you been going for with Craftzero?
So we started 2019, what's that? A couple of years now? Years.
So COVID kind of came at a good, obviously at a horrible time for Wine & Co, but at probably a pretty good time for Craftzero.
Yeah, it was exactly that. The way you said it was the right way. I mean, we kind of Wine & Co, the wholesale wine, the wine on premise kind of fizzled out at the time, and Craftzero exploded. So it's kind of offset each other quite nicely.
For sure. So COVID hits in 2020, and you've got a business that services one of the few businesses that decided to, the government decided to completely shut down. What was your kind of guttural reaction to that initially? And how did you deal with it from then on? I mean, what did you do as a step-by-step process to be able to ensure that you could still do some trade and you could still service customers and you could still stay relevant to customers?
Yeah. Well, we were still fighting to the last sort of breath with Wine & Co because they were still allowing you to deliver wines with. I mean, restaurants were allowed to deliver wines at the time. They gave them authority without having to go through different licenses. So we were trying to push through that, but it still didn't really pick up, and everybody was sort of struggling in that space. So it was a pretty crappy time initially, but in saying that, when we started looking into the non-alcoholic space, it's interesting because at the beginning it was a little bit. People would say to you, "What's the point of that? Why would you want to drink alcoholic beverages?" And if I got $1 for every time someone told me that, seriously, but we really felt like this was something big at the time, and we really believed in it, and we just kept pushing harder for it, and we decided to invest more and more, and we found the niche market that people were actually looking for that sort of product, and ever since we just really never looked back. So we kept pushing forward on towards the non-alcoholic. We shifted completely 180 degrees from alcoholic to completely non-alcoholic business.
Yeah, we've certainly noticed. I mean, we've got one non-alcoholic beer as a customer of ours, and they're probably one of Australia's leading, and I see that they're on your website as well. And
which one's that?
Heaps Normal.
Yeah.
And their scale and their volume that they've been able to do over the last probably 24 months or thereabouts. They've only been customers of ours for a short period of time, but the growth is enormous, and the whole space is becoming more and more attractive. Do you think that it's the non-alcoholic space, or do you think it's the less alcoholic space, if that makes sense?
Look, we consider ourselves we don't consider ourselves preachers. Don't drink alcohol. We're more of a mindful drinker. So we're moderate. So we do occasionally we might have an alcoholic drink. And a lot of our customers are not, they don't abstain completely from alcohol. A lot of our customers, they just want to reduce the alcohol they intake. So rather than going out for a night and having 5-6 beers, they might have 2 alcoholic and a couple of non-alcoholic. Sort of balances it out a bit. And that's what we're sort of about at the moment. And that's what we sort of promoting the business to be. And that's what we sort of realize. A lot of people sort of, when they drink wines, for instance, they buy our wines, and sometimes they mix it with an alcoholic drink because they don't want to have 14%. They want to have maybe like a 6% or a 7% wine. Mm-hmm. So people kind of trying to find what's right for them and what works for them. And there's so many different reasons why people might want to go down that path. Whether it's health reasons or social reasons, or
I think
maybe they just don't like the taste of it.
Look, if you've ever been down Chapel Street on a Friday night, where are you based? Are you in Sydney or Melbourne?
We're in Sydney. We're in North Rocks. Our warehouse is in North Rocks in Sydney.
Well, if you've ever been on the cross on a Saturday night, you'll see why people need to drink slightly less sometimes.
Yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. Well, you know what? Bars and restaurants now, a lot of the places now are jumping on and offering an alternative. So for those people that just want to sort of
and do you
take
guys
it down a notch?
Obviously, you guys are an e-commerce business first, and then no doubt those bars and restaurants that you would have had existing relationships with, no doubt they would be potential customers for you guys, though, right?
Yeah, we do. We do have our majority of business is B2C, but we do have a growing B2B part of the business at the moment. So we are growing the wholesale, but I would say it's probably it's maybe 80% retail, 20% wholesale.
Yeah, cool. And how many different alcohol non-alcohol brands do you have on the platform at the moment?
Look, I'd say maybe close to brands, probably close to 300-400 maybe.
Oh wow.
So there's a lot of there's a lot of
that's a lot.
There's a lot out there. There's a lot of brands out there, and they're all really, really good. I mean, it never used to be like that. Whenever you used to tell anybody non-alcoholic, it used to taste like water back in the day. Now there's actually some of them are I drink alcohol now, an alcoholic beer, and I can feel the alcohol a lot more, and it's like, wow, this taste is strong, it's the reason why there's so many different types is because everybody has different palates. And
absolutely. My biggest question for you is, shifting from being a pure wholesaler in the in the wine vertical to going and becoming an e-commerce business, it's a vastly different business model, and it's a new skill set that you need to learn.
Yes.
We're as much of a business podcast as a product podcast, and I'd be really interested if you could just take us through the process that you went through when you had to, all right, think about, okay, well, how am I going to get traffic to my website? How am I going to, who's going to build it for me? Can I build it myself? How do I maintain it? How do I continue this flow of people coming through? How do I get it? And what did you do to get the 300 or 400 brands on? So there's a lot that goes into it. I'd be interested if you could just run us through that process of that you followed.
Yeah, sure. So wholesale is more on a personal level. So a lot of our wholesale business is carried through our personal sort of phone calls and on the road sort of thing. With the retail, it's completely different. You don't do any of that. It's you got your website. You can have a great website, but if no one knows about it, it's pretty much useless, really. So we did invest a lot with with Google Ads, Facebook, Instagram, socials. We spent a fair bit of money on that sort of stuff. Plus, we do a fair bit of EDMs. Whenever we get sort of deals, we do launch EDMs to promote specific products, specific brands. We do work with particular breweries and distilleries on particular campaigns. So they might say, look, we've got this new product, we've got a couple of grand to invest with you guys. What can we do? And we'll write them a proposal, and we'll run the campaign for them through our website.
So you guys can almost act as that distribution arm for the e-commerce business of some of the breweries and distilleries.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
cool.
Right.
Interesting.
Yeah. So whenever, like Chris, if they're launching a new product, a new brand, a new line, sometimes they'll launch it with us exclusively.
Yep.
For a short period of time. In return, we'll promote it through our socials, EDMs, through Google Ads, through banners on our website, through so many different avenues that way, and we run it for them for say 3-4 weeks based on how long the promo is going for.
And how did you go and sign up 300 different non-booze brands?
What it's almost that 90% of them have actually come to us to say, we've got this product, you want to put it on. There's a few odd ones where we've reached out because our aim is to be to have the biggest selection in Australia of non-alcoholic brands. So if there's any non-alcoholic product out there, we want to make sure that we've got it in store, we can offer it to the customer. We want to make sure that we've got it at the best price possible. We're constantly searching for anything that pops up on the scene. But most of the time they'll reach out to us to say, we've got this product, how can we get it on board? And if the product, we'll bring it in, we'll try the samples first. If the product is good, then we'll put it on online. We have had, there's the exception of some products that have been either too expensive or the quality or we weren't very happy with the product, whether it's quality or taste, that we decided not to put it on. But there has been a fair bit, but a little bit, but not much.
Yep. And what are the most popular drinks from each category? So if you look at, because I had a look on there, I actually never knew much about non-alcoholic wine, and there's obviously non-alcoholic spirits of some description on there, and also plenty of beer and all that type of thing. What are the biggest sellers in each of those categories?
Look, Heaps Normal is one of the bigger ones that we stock. They actually launched at the same time as us. We kind of launched at the same time together. So they're quite quite popular. Probably one of the fastest selling. But we do focus on beers. Our specialty is more non-alcoholic craft beers. So our biggest category is beers, followed by wines, followed by spirits. So within the beer section, within beers, we've got Peeps Normal, something like Big Drop. They're quite. They're from the UK brewery.
Okay.
Brewing here in Australia. Followed by a few others. A few smaller guys as well that have recently come in. In terms of wines, look, the big names are still popular because because of the name behind it. A lot of the, like the Wolf Blast, for instance, they're quite popular because of the name. Brown Brothers.
I saw Gießen on the homepage. That's obviously
Gießen,
a well-known.
Gießen is actually Gießen's one of our biggest ones as well, biggest seller. So these are well-known brands, and people just sort of go for them a lot of the time because of the they trust the name behind the product. But in saying that, there's a lot of wines out there that are as good, if not even better, that are not big names. There's a lot of South African wines that we import that are incredible. They're really, really good. So there's we've got a lot of bundles on our website which allows you to try different some of these products. You can discover what your favorite is. Everyone's different. In terms of spirit, look, Liars is the biggest, most funded non-alcoholic spirit by far. They've got a big funding behind them. Seedlip, Liars and Seedlip were quite, Seedlip was quite big, but they haven't really expanded their range as much. So they kind of kept a little bit limited. We do have brands such as 1920 wines that are exclusive to us that we could, and we're happy to. We're always pushing for those sort of products. They're a great product. They come in a Pinot Grigio and a Sauvignon Blanc. So yeah, that's sort of a bit of a rundown of.
Cool. And what's next for you guys? I mean, are you looking at? I mean, is this the type of thing that you could take internationally?
Look, we're actually shipping internationally, so we do ship worldwide at the moment. It's a little bit, it's quite expensive, unfortunately.
At the moment, especially, yeah.
It's, we are always looking at opportunities to go elsewhere, but I think Australia's still got a fair bit to go.
Oh yeah, it's brand new.
Yes. UK is sort of leading the way at the moment with this pace. Look, we'd love to go to the States, but it's a whole new game as well. The States is a whole new beast.
Whole new beast, whole new culture.
Exactly.
I personally think I've lived in both the US and the UK, and the culture in the UK, especially in London, probably just due to how many Australians are there, is much more like Australia. And but it's interesting that market consumes a hell of a lot more booze than the US market on a per capita basis. So that's probably why the change to a little bit of moderation is required for some people potentially, because there's a big culture of that over there.
Yes. Yeah. It's look, I mean, there's some big guys in the States. I mean, you got people like Athletic Brewing in the States at the moment. I mean, they're quite massive. We stock their products here in Australia, here in our store. They're starting to pick up, but I think there's so much to do there. But again, it's
there's scale.
It's work in progress.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, there's scale on an unimaginable level in the States. It's just if you can get it right, it's enormous. And then, mate, the last thing I want to talk about with you is around the challenges that you face with logistics. Now, you've got a warehouse there. I don't know if you run your own vans and that type of thing, your own delivery, but or if you use third parties. But what have you seen around? Basically from 12 months ago, the cost to go and to actually deliver something, and what does that do to your unit economics?
Look, shipping is a big part of our business. We use a multi-carrier system, so we ship with Australia Post, Fastway, Couriers Please, Capital, whatever works out cheaper at the time. It's automatically calculated at when we ship the product to offer the cheapest option to the customer.
And do you use a shipping software for that?
Yes, we do. Yes. Yeah.
Yep. Cool.
We use. Yeah. Look, shipping is always a challenge, especially now with fuel prices going up. We've had to.
What kind of increases have you seen?
Look, we've seen increases up to about 5% with shipping. Okay. Which is actually quite massive. If you think about it, when we had to adjust our shipping policy recently because we were losing a lot of money just because we're offering deals on shipping, right? So we had to adjust things a little bit, and we've just now we've found a perfect medium, and I think customers understand and realize that shipping is not cheap, and they are happy to pay for that a little bit extra for the service. In terms of shipping, in terms of importing, it's a whole new thing because the delays we've been experiencing and the cost has been significant, right? The increase in cost has been significant, plus the delay. So you might get a container of beer, which is initially has a year shelf life on it. By the time it gets here, you probably got a few months to sell it, right? And it puts a lot of pressure on us to kind of get that product out the door.
Do you
in a short period of time?
When you're importing, do you import? You probably wouldn't be at container scale now, but do you import based on each supplier sending their stuff over individually, or do you group it all up into a?
We initially used to import from each different producer separately, but then we've changed this recently because it's been quite expensive and because of the delays. We kind of, and you know what, even we've realized that the products that are produced in Australia are probably even as good if not better anyway, right? And every day, like I said, almost every week, we get a new product, a new beer popping up, or someone doing something new here in Australia. And we do want to promote local as well now, so we are pushing a little bit more for local producers, so to support these small businesses as well.
You've obviously got there's a novelty in having something from overseas, but in saying that you've excuse me. You've always got the local producers are creating product for the palate of local people. So you can. It's probably a little bit hit and miss from overseas because we know the American palate with craft beer it's really hoppy. It's really hoppy. It's vast. It's going that way here, but it's still pretty dialed back here in comparison.
Yeah, no, you're right. It is a different palette, but again, we do want to have that selection, so we are bringing in, whether we're working with importers themselves, we are working with a few importers that are bringing in their own stock, and they just we go through them, or if we can't get it through them, then we'll reach out and we'll bring it in ourselves if it's something that if we've seen people asking for. People asking for a particular product, then we'll go out there and get it for them. But it is importing is challenging, and local shipping is challenging.
Everything's challenging. Everything's challenging at the moment, I think.
But it's good. It's good.
Yeah.
It keeps us on our toes. And look, the business is always evolving and changing, and trying to you go through COVID, then you go through interest rate hikes, then you come down to elections, and then you kind of you trying to dodge.
It never stops.
Exactly. Exactly.
And my last question, what have you learned over the last 24 months?
Mate, look, it's
hard question, isn't it?
Mate, it's a tough question. I don't know where to start. Whether how to learn social media, or how to run a business properly without making everybody happy. It's making a profitable business. It's so much involved in running the business that you're constantly teaching yourself every day new skills. I'm lucky that I've got Mike, my business partner. He's good with computers, so he's built the website internally, and he developed it in house, so which is great. And we're constantly improving on that, which is very good. But look, I mean, in terms of lessons learned, look, we always plan, and things go. Sometimes they go your way, and most of the time they don't.
What about?
But we try our best.
Government is shit is one that I've heard a lot when I ask that question.
How can you plan, right?
Very good.
But look, you have to be fluid. You can't. You have to be able to adjust as you go. You have to have a set plan, of course, but at the same time, you have to be able to be flexible and fluid. And that's the good thing about small businesses, that you could do that and make quick decisions as to accommodate.
Yeah, if you imagine trying to do that inside a corporate, it'd be impossible to. It's like a ship turning in the night. It's just so slow to move. So that's one of the advantages of smaller business. Mate, thanks so much for your time today. That was really good chat.
Thank you.
So yeah.
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Brilliant. We'll chat soon.
Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Cheers.
mate.